In this video, I'm going to show you how I made and how well this solar canopy worked for my boat, running trolling motor and a radio all day long. Okay, so for this canopy, I thought I'd just show you what I've got going on now. So I have these little stub pieces. Made the front one shorter because it steps up. So all I did is I just put these in the drill press with a 1-inch, or I can't remember what it was. I think it was a 1-inch hole saw. Coped it out to fit around that. And I marked my holes, drilled them too, kept them as straight as I could. And then to get these in line with the other side, I have this 1/2-inch threaded rod all the way through. I had another one there, measured from the back of the boat here, back of the boat there, made sure they're the same, and then kept this gap the same. And then what that does is keep your gap the same in the same spot on each side of the boat, but it also keeps this square with each other. If these were kicked off from each side, you know, you're not going to have a flat surface to bolt to, and it's going to cause some binding. So next step is I 3D printed these little ASA bushings. ASA is the filament. They're just stronger, pretty UV resistant. So those holes, there's one, something to bolt to. Holds the pipe, a little gap in there in case it does squish. And then my vertical pipe is gonna look like that. So I have no metal to metal, and it holds the pipe together, gives a nice base to wear against. So I think that's gonna be great. But yeah, okay, so next thing, I just 3D printed these little caps. So when I'm done with that, I'm not done welding yet, but those will be pushed on. It's a little loose right there. And then I have some of these hold ones, and one of these pipes will be getting that. And one will go on the bottom, one will go on the top of it, and that's going to be for running my wire through, just so I don't have a sharp edge where my wire will be chafing on. Now I'll just show you what I've got going on here. I know I haven't got many videos on actually building this, but it's summertime. I'm just trying to get this ready by tomorrow or Sunday. We're going to be going out, so I need to take this apart, finish welding it, paint it, install it, and then hook the electrical up for the solar panel. So I'm really time crunched here. But anyways, what I've got here is this is going to be adjustable, so that this can move all the way front if you want some shade on the front. Half of it will be shaded, so you still have the front half to fish off of, and then the back when you're driving. And what I'm going to have eventually is a little linear actuator in here, so when this extends, it will pivot this that way, pivot it back, hold it solid. And then I also have these stabilizer pieces I just welded on. And what I'm gonna have is I just 3D printed these out of ASA. It's UV resistant, pretty strong for what it is. And that's gonna go inside my pipe. And it's going to hold my pipe during transportation, driving the boat, trailering, and hopefully that'll be good. So that's gonna fit nice and just hold that from wiggling around or putting too much strain on the actuators when you're driving down the road. Hopefully it's not too bad. We will find out. I also have this tilted down just ever so slightly, give myself, because I like to stand in the back. That's why it's sitting so high. I like to stand when I'm driving, so it gives me a little more headroom in the back, tapers down, and hopefully when we're driving it kind of deflects some wind a little bit. It's not much, but it is tilted down. What else? So I just have a ratchet strap holding that for now. And those actually just push it out. This pivots like this. don't want to go too far. And you can slide it back. And then on top is of course going to be 2 of my 200 watt solar panels, so it'd be 400 watts total. Trickle charging battery with a solar charge controller, and that is going to run the trolling motor and my radio, so I can run radio all day easily, and then trolling motor every now and then, and keep the batteries charged, so I don't think I'll have a problem with batteries. And then it's also a spare battery for if my starter battery for the boat fails or gets low, which I think it's getting kind of old there. So at least I always like to carry an extra battery with me anyway, so that will be mostly fully charged. Just running the radio, trolling motor every now and then, and yeah. So this is actually 3/4 Sked 40 aluminum pipe, and I just supported it, gusseted it. It seems fairly solid. Like if I move it back and forth, it shakes the whole boat instead of just the whole boat's shaking there. And so I think it'll be plenty strong, especially when this is held in there when we're driving. I think it'll be great. So yeah, doesn't look too bad. I wish I could have had it lower. It looks a little high, but I like to stand when I'm driving. So yeah, so it offers shade. It's gonna charge batteries. I think it's gonna be great. These solar panels, they're 20 pounds each, so 40 pounds. I'm not adding a terrible amount of weight. I don't know what this all weighs. I kind of want to weigh everything just to see the difference in what I've got. This is I made this little box to hold my speaker, the headset, charge phones. I have a control panel here so I can fully shut the radio off. Subwoofer, I got a little subwoofer in case I really want to party. This one turns this on and off. It's kind of redundant. I don't think you really need it, but in case I want to really save on battery, I can shut all this stuff off. And then I have one switch that will shut off the far speaker over there. So if I just want the one speaker running to save on power, I can. And then this sits in here and it'll pivot. So if I'm on the front of the boat fishing and maybe she's sitting back here, she doesn't want to listen to the loud music, I can face it towards me, shut that speaker off. Or if I'm out swimming or whatever, I can face it out this way. It just pivots all around. So that's the idea for that. And then of course I didn't want to mount it underneath here because I'm usually storing stuff under there, and that would have taken up that much room. So that's the other reason why I did that. Then I got my trolling motor mounted up here, just welded on a 1/4 inch plate with a little piece of wood. That seems to be solid. Oh yeah, and then I just made a little quick disconnect here. That'll be my on and off. Instead of having a switch, I'll just unplug it. So for now, I gotta take this all off, which is a pain to do by yourself. Weld everything up, slap a coat of paint on it, finish welding these up. You can see there I've had to put a little offset in it, just from where the boat sits to the frame of the solar panel, which is the exact width for the solar panels. So I had to do some math, do an offset there. Looks, I like it. I think it looks good. I like the little 45s. I annealed the aluminum, bent it a little because I broke the first one. Seems like you always have to anneal them, and put a little bend on in them that really stiffens it up, and I think it'll be pretty stable. That's the new one I have coming on. I'll show the end product. It's made out of ASA, so it's UV resistant, and these are the old ones, so they're a little thin. And this is where the old one broke off, right in there, right off that solid piece. So new one should hold a lot better. I love these Bamboo Labs 3D printers. Haven't tried another 3D printer, but I love this one. It's great, very user friendly. Don't have to think about it. All right, so just want to talk about this solar Binimi top I made. At first I wasn't sure how well this would work, because in theory, in reality, sometimes never pan out that way. But to my surprise, this thing worked so great. I was able to have had it, I guess I've only had it out 3 times, and I drove each time for a total of an hour, hour and a half sometimes, but it kept the batteries fully charged and a radio playing, music playing the whole time. So that's great. So my first time I had it out, I mainly cruised around at a level 3. This goes to 5, and it's a 60 foot-pound thrust trolling motor. And I mostly did that, and then for the last half hour of it, I kept it on full speed, level 5, and the battery stayed charged up. It did drop, like you could see the voltmeter on the trolling motor would go down to 9 sometimes, but as soon as you stop, it'd go back up to 10. So I was really surprised of how well this actually worked. So as you can see on the other side, I still have a ratchet strap hooked up there, and that's to keep this from flipping back. But my future plans for this is to have a linear actuator here, and that's to move this Binimi top to the front in case you want some shade when you're lounging up front here. And now that was something I didn't need to do. It'd been better if that was completely stationary and solidly welded. It would have saved me a bunch of time 3D printing stuff, but you know, I like to do stuff a little different. So the idea of this is I can have 2 linear actuators, a little control here, and I can move this forward. So in the summer that should shade that for sure. And then you could get this out of the way if you want some sunlight. So it actually, it moves really nice actually. Moves pretty nice. It's not too heavy. Once it gets down there, it starts gathering weight, and this is kind of an unnecessary thing, but it's just nice to be able to move that if you want. In the summer, like, you could move it this far and sit under here and actually get some shade, or you know, bring it back here if you want some shade there. All the times I've been out, I've had this radio playing, hooked up to Bluetooth, charging my phone, and I haven't had it cranked, but I've had it, you know, half volume most of the time. And then on top of that, I've got a little 180 watt subwoofer hooked up to it, which is a nice feature. Just adds that bass where these marine speakers don't really have that much bass. So that's nice. Just the fact of having a radio on board. I'm not forgetting a Bluetooth speaker, so that's always there. And I can run a trolling motor and a radio the whole time, which is just ideal for me. I love that. And it is so fun just having the trolling motor and just bombing around, not having a loud mud motor, which I love the mud motor, but it is loud. It's basically a screaming lawnmower in your ear. So just the fact of going upriver, cranking on the trolling motor and just bombing around fishing is awesome. Now I wish I had a foot pedal one, but I was pressed for money because, you know, all this stuff, solar panels, adds up. So I went with a cheap Amazon, it's like a $300 trolling motor, which surprisingly it works great. It can haul my boat pretty good. I think I can't remember. I do have it clocked out at, I want to say it's like 5 kilometers an hour or something like that, which isn't much, but it feels like you're going pretty good. Another thing I like about these solar panels, they are bifacial. And what's cool is they're somewhat see-through, a little clear. They're not just the white, and kind of gives you that sunroof appeal, which is kind of neat looking up to it. These did add a little bit of weight. I think they're like 20 pounds each. It's not a lot, but then once I add the aluminum poles and stuff like that, you know, I probably put a good 50-60 pounds on this thing. And that's not including the battery, because the battery I always kept a spare battery on board anyways. So, but I believe it's so worth it. So these are two 200-watt solar panels, and then I gotta clean some wires up, but I have them hooked into series, and they're originally 24 volt. For some reason Amazon said they're 12 volt, they're 24 volt. So then I hooked them in series, got 48 volt. I had the wire coming down this tube to a charge controller, and then hooked to the battery. You know, most people want a Binimi top anyways. I think that's a great use of space. Keep your batteries charged. I know most boats, they have an alternator that's big enough that they charge a separate trolling motor battery, but with the mud motor, you don't really have that option. Unless you added it on, you could, but I like being able to sit there for a while, move the boat without having to start that up. Now, going down the road, it's really stiff. Like when I do that, I'm actually shaking the sides of my boat, not this. That moves with the boat. So I haven't had any problems with it on the road. I've got some rough terrain, rough back roads back here, and I haven't had a problem. I did have one problem. I didn't tie my ratchet straps hard enough here. They slipped down and this thing came crashing down, hit my light and trolling motor, but learn from your mistakes. A great thing too, like say you are using the trolling motor for like all day, you can, once you come home and you say your battery did get half or below half, just have your boat sitting outside for a few hours, and then it should be fully charged up again. And then as you're driving to your spot, your batteries are charging, so by the next time you get into the water, you should have no problem charging your batteries. And I did show these. I just made these 3D printed bushings and caps. I got a cap there, I still got to push up, but it's got a hole in it for my wire to go through, so I'm not chafing my wire on the aluminum edge. 3D printed that to hold this during transportation. And yeah, overall it's a good project. Highly recommend it if you got the room, if you got the you can add the extra weight, hook the radio up to it, and I only have one 100 amp hour 12 volt battery, lithium battery for it, and yeah, I've got no problem keeping that charged. And nice thing about lithium is you can drain it down to basically zero, whereas a lead acid you can only use half of that. So I'm happy I got the lithium.